Hey, hello again. I'm at Lime Kiln State Park on San Juan Island near Friday Harbor. Thought I'd take a little hike around this new to me state park and try to find a little subject to paint. This is Dead Man Bay. I might visit this a little bit later when there's more light. Something very lonely and attractive about that little rowboat. This is the whale watching area. I think I'm going to paint the little lighthouse. Here's a beautiful view of it, really attracted to the dark rocks in the foreground. Also these light rocks in the shade are beautiful blue lavender cast. They kind of echo the white of the building, but in shade it's not exact. It'll be interesting to watch the sun hit those rocks, see what happens. I like all the negative space, just this open water here and all the high value subtle blue sky and the far distant mountains. That'll all be fun to paint. And I'm really attracted to the sun on the white lighthouse. The challenge with lighthouses is to not make them too cutesy. I don't want them to be too cute and sweet. So I think making the lighthouse seem tiny and a little bit hard, a little bit lonely will help. Kind of like a hopper lighthouse or a hopper suburban home. So that'll be the goal, a little bit of a drawing challenge and just capturing the beautiful light of the morning. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. I ran out here to Friday Harbor, San Juan Island, to escape the heat down near Tacoma, and it is beautifully cool and breezy here this morning. So I'm going to use turpentine for the sketch and for the initial wash, since there's a nice breeze right off the water and it's nice and cool. I don't think it'll make me feel dizzy like it sometimes can if I'm using it when it's hot. Got a little bit of Neo McGilpin here. I'll use that as I mix my colors for the scene. I'll put the turpentine away and get out Gamsol as soon as I have the wash done. Some people have asked, why do I use turpentine at all? I really do like how it interacts with the paint, how it dries so quickly, how you can loosen the paint back up and erase back to the white of the canvas. It does some things that I find Gamsol doesn't quite do. I can use Gamsol, it's fun as well, but I just like turpentine a little bit better. So when I have the chance, when it's cool and breezy out, I use it outside. Got ivory black, cold gray. This cold gray is just ivory black plus titanium white. And I just use black and gray to dull and shift the value. I don't use black straight typically. If I want to mix a black, I'll mix a black from my darkest transparents, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and alizarin crimson. Also have cerulean blue, phthalo blue, sap green, burnt sienna, cad red, cad yellow, Windsor lemon, Gamblin radiant lemon, and yellow ochre. Those are kind of my typical plein air colors, and really it's what I primarily use in the studio as well. I've got a little bit of color left over from my painting session yesterday. I'll set those off to the side and use them as I mix my colors this morning for this scene. Going with an 8x10 inch all primed linen panel from Centurion. Nice, affordable, high quality, lightweight panel, great for plein air practice. I'm going with a smaller panel because I think this composition fits that, and also because I think the light's going to change here pretty quickly as it moves from morning to noon. the light's going to shift on the scene, so I don't want to try to accomplish too much. I'm standing on kind of a rocky outcropping here, pretty close to a picnic table, so not too far off the beaten track. But it's not the most comfortable place to stand and paint, so that's another reason I'm going with a little smaller panel. I believe that's Vancouver Island across the water there. I'm going to start with this small ivory and some turpentine and a little bit of alizarin crimson, and just do a quick sketch. Just want to place the big shapes. I'm making it easy on myself by placing the center of interest, the lighthouse, on these 1/3 lines. I always sketch really lightly in charcoal the 1/3 lines just to help me with keeping things off the center of the panel and also putting things near the nice intersection lines of these 1/3 lines. Pretty good placement for points of interest. So I'll place the horizon line just below this upper 1/3 line. And I'm using alizarin crimson to sketch initially, especially in the background, because alizarin is a cool red, so it's still warm, and I like the underpainting, the initial wash, to be mostly warm. It's transparent, but it's cool. It's not as warm as like a cad red or a burnt umber, or especially a burnt sienna, which those would be harder to push back later. It's fine if alizarin crimson kind of glows through the background. I find it adds interest without bringing the background forward. So I'm going to place the lighthouse, the base of the lighthouse, right on this 1/3 line. I'm going to try not to make it too big. I like it kind of small. I'm going to put the edge of the building almost equally distant. The windows, this edge, and the building is turned a little bit. It's almost straight on to us, but it's turned a little, which is nice. The fact that it's straight on and we're right at eye level with this base, it makes it easy to draw. There's not a lot of linear perspective going on. I can tell I made this too tall. I want this tower, I don't want the tower to be so close to the top, because then the frame will cut the top off. So I'm going to drop this. I want the top of the tower to be right about here, which keeps it below the frame, if I do end up framing this one. So this all needs to drop a little bit. Which is easy to do at this stage. This is the beauty of doing the wash at first, this sketch and wash, because I can play with the shapes and make mistakes and correct them. I'm going to add a little more curvature to it than what I'm actually seeing. I'm going to change the shapes a little bit too, so that I get a little more water in the composition. In reality, the rocks are pretty much covering up this whole area, but I'm going to change it a bit and have some of these rocks come down closer and leave more of the water showing. These trees are just kind of round lollipop shapes, so I'm going to change them a bit, make them a little more coastal pine looking, just for interest. Then want to remember these white rocks here. I'm gonna mix a little ultramarine in with my alizarin. And add some of these white rocks. They're not actually in this position, but I can change it like. Might be kind of dangerous to have it too close to the edge here, so I'm gonna actually come over with it. Bring it closer to this lower 1/3 intersection. Alright, that's good enough for the sketch. I'll take this bristle brush and do the wash. I'll go with that same alizarin crimson ultramarine blue mix for the sky. Keep it really light, really diluted. Here I'm adding just a little bit of cad yellow and yellow ochre right below the lighthouse, where I'm seeing a lot of beautiful lichen on the rock. I'll go with burnt umber and my alizarin crimson ultramarine blue mix. Get these rocks in. Add a little burnt sienna to bring up the warmth in the foreground here. I need to decide on the shadow pattern. I think I want most of these white rocks in shadow. I think I want a lot of this in here in shadow. And then it can come out into the light out here. That's kind of the way it was when I first got here. And I'll use a little bit of this burnt umber, burnt sienna mix for the trees. Pines there. And also for the top of this white rock. I took a paper towel and I just wiped out the lightest portion of the sky to establish the background. Real light indication of the mountains way off in the distance. I'm gonna take a paper towel and reestablish this foreground pool of water. Paper towels are fun because they give unexpected kind of jagged edges. They work nice to give you a feeling of barnacles, give you some unexpected marks to play with. this is kind of set up so I can take and just gently flick some turpentine back in there. Almost get some watercolor effects. See how that mobilized the paint just immediately? I find Gamsol doesn't quite do that as well. Use this small brush again and go in and sketch in where I want this madrone. There are some up in there, but just not in this position. So I'm kind of inventing this. They're such pretty trees, I just love them. Okay, and then I can do the same with my coastal pine. I think if I have the Alright, that's good for the wash. Now I'll go ahead and mix up a few pools of color, matching the main notes of the scene. I can put up the turpentine now. I'm going to try to minimize the number of pools I mix, and then just bend those main colors by dipping into pure color or white or gray or black. Alright, I've got the colors mixed up. Got a warm, very light pink for the bottom of the sky that comes close to the mountains, and then blue for the majority of the sky. It's the color for the mountains, and I can just tilt the sky a little bit to simulate the clouds using those colors as well. Here's a green, blue for the ocean. It's a couple steps darker than the sky, which is what I'm seeing. And there are some mountains on the closer distant mountains. There's some cliffs that are very warm, so I may dip into just a little bit of alizarin crimson and this color to indicate those cliffs. And then I can use the sky color as well in the ocean as it comes forward. Now, I was going for this color and this color, and I generated these other colors along the way, and I went ahead and saved them. These are all the rocks in the light. These are the rocks in the shadow, so you can see I've got a division of shadow and light. Tree shadow, tree and light, and then the top of the lighthouse, the roof of the lighthouse. I can just use these rock colors as well for the walkway, the cage around the light. I'll correct the drawing as I go of the light and the rocks using the surrounding paints. I think the first thing I'll do though is paint the lighthouse with white and just a touch of cad yellow. It's really glowing warm white. Take the small rosemary flat to 0, dip it in a little bit of Gamsol, grab just a touch of cad yellow and white. I'll use my maul stick for this. dip into this mountain color and paint the shadow on the light. I'm going to paint it a little bit bluer than it really is. At least toward the top. As it gets closer to the bottom, I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson. That's kind of what I remember seeing when I first got here. Darken that with a little bit of this rock shadow color and paint the cage. Actually, I think I'll wait to paint the cage until after I get the sky filled in. I don't want to muddy the sky with that dark cage color. Now I'll take this number 7 rosemary evergreen, make sure it's nice and clean. Paint the sky. Start with the highest value, this pink, and firm up the drawing of the distant mountains as I do this. Seems a little warm, so I'm going to add just a touch of this blue. I'm not really trying to stay true to those distant mountains, just trying to get an interesting shape in quickly before the light changes too much more. And use this same pink color for the tops of the clouds, just a little more white. Don't want them to be all white, just the top edge is what I'm seeing is bright. And I can dip into this mountain color and a little bit of the sky blue and try that as the base of the clouds. Seems a little cool, so I'm going to add a touch of alizarin crimson. Seems a little dark, so I'm going to add a little bit of this warm color. I think I want this nice blue to come down and touch the orange of the lighthouse roof, so I'm going to be careful here. Maybe I'll get my maul stick back out and try to get a nice sharp edge with this big brush. Now for the glass, I'm just going to paint the sky color right where the glass is, because you can see the sky. I'm going to darken it just a little bit. Using the same sky brush, I'm going to paint the mountain in. seems about right. Right value. Right distant blue color. Okay, now use the same brush and paint this sea green in, see how it looks. Using a maul stick as a straight edge. Some more of this green. Now introduce back in some of this sky color. Even throw in some of this mountain color because it seems to get a little bit purple toward the middle ground of the ocean. There's no real breaking waves, just a lot of ripples. Wind's picking up a bit, so I need to anchor my easel before it tips over. Add a little bit of ultramarine down here toward the bottom. Just picking up some of the deeper sky above me. I'll come back in and paint some white water crashing right along the edges of the rock and the kelp that's floating out there. Going with kind of a choppy stroke here to simulate that it's not calm water. Yeah, a little bit of this green again where it comes up close to the rock. See, I can see how mixing fewer piles of color in and just trying to find ways to use it in different spots can add harmony. Getting some nice rich blue right over here where the water comes in. I want to cut in a little bit more here. Alright, I'm going to anchor my easel and step back and take a look at it. Maybe have a quick cup of coffee and see what it needs. I want to cut out some of this rock down here. Make it more interesting. And also cut here. Take a smaller badger hair. It's a Rosemary's Master's Choice. I'm mapping these pine trees real quickly. Do the shadow first. The light of the pines. Okay, and for this madrone, I'm going to take a little round and some red and orange. Okay, cad red, cad yellow. A touch of my roof color for the lighthouse. Let's see if I scratch the path of the trunk first, that'll help. The palette knife gives a nice jagged line to follow. Just don't overdo it. Just a hint. Just a hint of that beautiful madrone color. Good enough for now. I can do more later in the studio if I want. I also want to throw in the trunk of the pine. So I'll use this gray for that. Stands out nicely against that light sky. Okay, that's good. Now, I'll use my maul stick and put in just a little detail on the lighthouse. Start with the roof. Use the same round. Don't need to add much since the wash is doing the majority of the work for me already. Alright, now I'm mapping the rocks. Just use the same big brush I used for the sky and the ocean. And I think I'll start with the shadows. Where this white rock is reflecting off of, getting reflected light from the other rocks, it's a little warmer. And where it's getting more of the reflected light and the shadow from the sky, it's cool. And then the darkest shadow near us is pretty warm. The shadow pattern I saw earlier is gone. Just kind of going by memory and by my wash pattern that I put in. Bump up the contrast over here. Add a little bit of this rich brown where the sun is glinting on the wet rock, and that will bring a little bit of interest out here where I need it, away from the lighthouse. So that there's more than just one single point of interest. I can just leave that orange wash in there for now. It's doing a nice job. Take a clean brush now and paint this bluish rock, which is a lot of it, almost all of it's in the sun now. Using the color I mixed for the sky. Grade down. Now just to shoot a few dark lines. And the kelp that's floating out there. The rock. rocks in the water. Clean that up a little bit back in the studio. It doesn't look quite right. Thin it out and add some lighter touches right around the kelp. Mix up a clean color. Well, here's where it ended up. Really beautiful place to spend the day. Nice and cool here. The wind picked up a bit, and I thought I was going to lose my painting there, but it didn't happen, so I'm happy. Pretty happy with how it came out. I think the lighthouse is just a little too pretty. I think I need to make it a little sharper to make it sit into the environment. Right now that alizarin crimson underpainting is shining through a bit too much. I need to get it back under some better light. A lot of glare on it right now. I do like the foreground, the rocks, they feel about right, the color scheme's about right. I need to clean up the kelp here in this corner and maybe clean up the top edge of that distant mountain too. It seems to be a little tall compared to what I'm seeing here in person and what I want. But yeah, beautiful day. Lots of people in kayaks. Saw a seal and some otters, even some scuba divers out there. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit my website. I sell these little plein air pieces at a reasonable price because I consider them practice. It really makes me happy when someone likes my art enough that they want to hang it in their home. You can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on my new work and shows and get a discount on original art and prints.